Hey guys, it's time for Breakthrough with Coach Lou. Coming to you live from Accelerate Life University, XLR8Life.com. Coach Lou will help you break through anything that's stopping you. Are you ready to get the motivation, the energy, the life, and all the success you really want and deserve? With no further ado, here's Coach Lou.
Oh, good morning, my friends, and welcome back to Breakthrough with Lou. It is Monday morning, and I got a question for you. Would you like regular or premium fuel today? You might be going, what are you talking about now, Coach? What are you talking about here? Would I like regular or premium? Do you want to run on regular fuel and do and be and live like everyone else? Or do you want to fill her up with premium fuel that gives you that extra energy, that extra speed, that extra boost? Excuse me. Speaking of premium fuel, Life Boost Coffee, baby. Go on my site, use my links. It is the best coffee in the world. But seriously, do you want to operate just like everyone else? Do you want to operate status quo? Do you want to be average? Or do you want to be premium? You know, sometimes people tell me, well, sometimes if I went to the Olympics or something, and you can already see the body drop there, man, even going to the Olympics is a thing, oh my God, who gets to do that? Yeah, that's an accomplishment. And then you got the other people go, hey, if I could go there and hit the silver, holy moly, or even the bronze, man, nobody barely in the world, the top 1,000 point whatever percent could ever get to the Olympics. So even if I took home a bronze, then you got people that go, no. I got to get the silver. I got to get the medium grade gas. Bronze isn't good enough. I've got to do this. And then there's people that go, I'm going for the gold. And sometimes people say to them, don't set your sights so high. You're lucky you're going. Huh? What? Do you really do that to somebody you care about, or would you do that to your enemy, somebody you want to tear down? Well, no, my kids, when they get in competitions, I let them know it's just showing up that counts. We don't want to put too much expectation on them. Whoa, hold on a minute. If you don't put any expectation or standard, how are you going to ever be gold or platinum? My standard's platinum. Okay. And right now in the world, things are not and haven't been for a long time where platinum's not so easy to achieve. Okay. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of dissension. There's a lot of good stuff coming, but we might have to go through a little valley to get to the mountaintop here. But we need to do it together as a nation, y'all. So hear that. But we're not going to have that conversation today. What conversation we are going to have today is, if you had a Maserati sports car or you had a Lamborghini, would you put economy 88 fuel in that vehicle? Would you run the E88 or the E85 fuel in that vehicle to save $0.50 a gallon on fuel? No, you're like, I'd run the best top-notch, racing fuel in that. That's a Lamborghini. Well, let me tell you something. You're a Lamborghini, okay? You might be in hiding. You might have a little covering on it right now that makes it look like a VW, but inside here, you're a Lamborghini, not a VW, okay? You might go, VWs are a dependable little car and they go gas mileage. Okay, well, I'm sure they are. Once again, are you a Lamborghini ready to race into life, or are you a VW ready to putt down the street and kind of get through it? Which are you? Let's hear it. So you want regular or premium in your life, guys? Let me ask you a question. What fuels you? What motivates you? What drives you? And you might go, well, you already said that motivation thing, is good, but, it doesn't last. You talk about systems and habits and that, Coach. What fuels your motivation in the first place? Because you can't create systems and standards and anything else without some motivation to get going. What drives you? Is it a pleasurable motivation or is it a painful motivation? Well, let me ask you a question. If you hit the first of the year and you knew you had a nice big tax refund check coming back, how fast would you file? Well, I'd file on the 2nd. Yeah, okay, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't it be nice if big refund checks coming instead of paying? Whatever. What if you have to write a big fat check? When are you going to file? April 14th, of course. Maybe the 15th, get it in the mail by midnight so it's postmarked. What is the difference? What's the real difference? It's your flavor of motivation, okay? The first one is, hey, I'm getting something and I'm going to enjoy it. The second one is, it's painful. I want to avoid it as long as possible. Okay, but what's the reality here? Which one's right? Which one should happen faster? They should both happen at the same, okay? Whether something's pleasurable or painful, if it's going to fuel your success, get it done, GSDT. Get stuff done today, okay? Let's go. Let's get on this, okay? So what fuels your success? Is it the desire to be popular? Is it the desire to do something great for your kids, leave a legacy? Or is it desperation that if I don't succeed this week, I don't eat and we get kicked out of our house and this, that, and the other? I mean, there's all different levels of what fuels you. Is it a positive or is it a pain avoider? What about what fuels your failure? Oh, no, I don't fuel my failure. I'm not going to pay for fuel or do something to fail. Oh, you do it every single day. What fuels your failure? Well, I was born, not with a great IQ. So excuses are what fuels your failure. Okay. See, that's the one word there that goes along with all of it. It could be your lack of a higher IQ, or I didn't have the same education, or I was born this color, or I was born this color, I was born in this country, I wasn't born in this country, I don't speak the native language, I do speak the native language, I had a business and lost it and was afraid to ever go back into it. Okay, I'll admit it. Confession here. Real estate. God, I tell you what, that was doing me really good for a while there. And then 2008 came along. And then I was afraid of it after that because it ate my lunch, but I got back on my feet. But it might not eat my lunch. Oh, I've been retired by now if it went the right way. Not that I'd retire. But I was like, I got to admit, I did the same thing. What fuels my failure in the real estate side of life and not owning all those properties and getting all these rents? It was the fear of getting back into it. It was the excuses of, I got hurt really bad in the real estate market then. Well, you know what? How many years ago was that? Okay, here I'm giving you a little confession, guys, and I'm starting to scratch my head and go, oh boy, this is not what I counted on doing on the show this morning. Yeah, no. But what fuels your failure? What excuse? There's always an excuse attached to the failure fuel, okay? That's called a tax, and it's a tax that gets charged whether you make any profit or not. It's a tax that you got to pay. It's like you're going to pay a sales tax regardless, okay? You don't necessarily pay income tax. If you're not successful, you're not paying as much income tax. But when you go to the pump or you go to the store, you're going to pay the same sales tax, right? So wouldn't it be better if you got to pay the same sales tax to make more money, to be more successful? If you're going to pay the same tax, in other words, if you're going to have to do something like go to work, got to go to work every day. My heart bleeds some days. I see some of the most beautiful souls going to work every day and getting their souls sucked out of them. And, it's not their employer's fault. It's their own fault for staying there. But sorry, that sounded brash and crash, but it's true. But, they're wonderful people, but they got to do it to get by. They got to feed the kids. They got to do it. That's the wrong fuel. That's a low-grade fuel. Then I meet people that, are up at, 4 o'clock in the morning. And you know what? Sometimes people, you got to get up at 4 to be successful. That's a crock of crap. Okay, some people's biological clocks are a little different, but it's what you do with the times that you're awake that matters. You can get up at 4 in the morning and stay up till midnight the next night and be a flunky. And, if you're partying or something like that, and that's what your reason you're staying up long hours, it doesn't matter you got up at 4 in the morning or went to bed at 4 in the morning. Now, there is scientific proof that it's better to be in bed by around 10 o'clock and get up early on our circadian rhythms and stuff. So we'll talk about that on another show. But the reality of it is you don't have to get up at 4. Maybe you get up at 6 and you're very successful. Maybe you get up at 8 and you're successful. I'm not quite sure how that would work so well with the demands and the pressures and the difference. When you wake up at 4, the world's your oyster. You can do whatever you want. Nobody else is up. Very few people are up. And certainly most people aren't calling you at 4 a.m. But I'm not saying you got to. But what I'm saying is when you get up early and get going, this will fuel that success. But the point is are you fueling your success or are you fueling your failure with excuses? And excuses is truly the fuel of failure. When you say, I could, but, I would, but, or I can't because, you're only fueling failure. You're just putting low-grade fuel into your life. When you say, you know what, this is going to be hard, but I'm going to get up and do it anyway. I'm going to put the premium fuel in. I'm going to hit the accelerator. I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to do something with this instead of having the excuse of why I can't. Give a reason why you can. Does it mean every time it's just going to be, if you say, oh, I can do this, that I'm going to succeed and there's going to be no failure or falling down or making a mistake? No. But the difference is the person that fuels themselves up with the premium of what I can do is going to take action and do something, and chances are a whole lot better, or like 100% better, of winning at something that you want or you want to do or become than if you never start doing anything in the first place. In other words, it's like a car. If you go, I want to drive cross country and enjoy life and have this beautiful road trip, but you never turn the key, it doesn't matter how nice of a map you created and how much you know where you're going and when you're going to go there and everything else. If you don't turn the key and drive and start the journey, it never will happen. I don't care how much you visualize it and go, oh, I want to see the West Coast sunrise. Well, you're not going to see it unless you drive, get there, or get on the airplane and fly there, whatever the case is, or start walking. It's going to be a long walk. Do you see my point, though? It's about what fuels your failures is literally excuses, and what fuels your success is, put it in the chats, action. I just realized I misspelled failures in the chat, guys, so excuse the early morning. It's not that early anymore. I've been up for a while, but excuse the early morning spelling failure there. But seriously, action is the fuel for success, and excuses is the fuel for failure. Pretty darn cool, huh? I really like that. I just came up with that, by the way. So what is your fuel of choice? Let's hear it. What is it? Yell it out loud. Say it to yourself. Say it in the chat. You want to be courageous? Say it in the chats. Commit. Okay? Commit to something here. But let me ask you the question. It would help if I had my one chat open, wouldn't it? Yes. Good job. Good job, Coach. Yeah, it's open. We're good. Yes. So what? Yeah. If only I had taken the education, my life would be different. Oh, education. Let's spend 2 minutes on that this morning. People say to me a lot of times, oh, you're kind of anti-education. I'm like, me? Anti-education? I'm constantly educating myself. Constantly educating people. That's why I consider myself even more than a coach, an educator. And they're like, well, what do you mean? You know, you didn't take 8 years of psychology, or now if somebody's doing brain surgery on me, I would prefer they go through the education, but I would also prefer a younger, more recently educated brain surgeon. God willing, this is never a thing I need, is an example, than somebody who's been doing it for 40 years, but uses a 40-year-old technique. Ooh. So here's my problem with education. And I don't have a problem with it. But the problem is you say you're a college student right now. You're getting educated. You get in there and you go, oh, I'm taking this really cool course on AI. Maybe this is 2 years ago. And you take that course and you go, oh, I want to put this to work. And the well-meaning instructor's like, no, the protocol is you've got to finish your 4-year degree before you can use this. So 4 years goes by. Well, you learned about AI 4 years ago. Doesn't exist anymore. Well, you learned about AI 4 months ago, baby. Barely exists anymore. What you learned 4 days ago could be cutting edge. What you learned 4 minutes ago in the rapid change. And you're like, well, wait a minute. The standard education model has worked for years and years and years. Our country was built on it. Yes, and we also didn't have cell phones and AI and everything else during the bigger portion of the development of humanity. Okay? Over time, when you look from however your spiritual beliefs, from the Bible on back or whatever, you are going to find that this is a little blip of time that we've even had cell phones and computers is such a tiny fraction of man's existence. And that accelerated it so much. So back in the 50s, what you learned in college, probably you could apply for the next 15, 20 years of your life easily without much update. Right now, what you learn today could be antiquated tomorrow. God, I hope it slows down a little bit. I got to say, and I've never been one to say slow something down, but there's a point where take a minute to savor what we've learned and what we have at our fingertips and use it. Sometimes I think our focus is on what the next big thing is, the next big chat bot, the next big, prompt. How about getting in and putting this stuff to work for us? And let me tell you, AI is not going away. And I'm not 100% a hoorah, AI is going to make my life easy. It's going to do the show and you're going to have me. What I do like about AI is translation ability. To be able to translate, to reach my brothers and sisters out here that speak Spanish or other languages. The ability to do that in lightning speed. But not to go, let me type it into AI and see what it tells me to do. No. There's only one person I trust, or one being I trust 100% tell me what to do. He's upstairs. Okay? Now, if I get a message from there, that's gospel to me. And again, I'm not going to preach to you this morning, guys. But, other than that, I'm going to, I'm writing ads. Funny thing, we're writing an employment ad. I'm going to get around to why I'm talking about this. An employment ad, and I put it through AI, and it made it so pretty. And I said to Jen, which one do you think? She goes, oh, yeah, the AI version. That wow. That is the worst response I have ever gotten on an employment ad. And yeah, the ad looked pretty. But I'm looking at the stats, and I'm looking at what they're charging me every day, and I'm like, stop, kill it, done. Going back to mine, I'm going to headline it a little bit like, the AI made it look all pretty, but the wording was to AI. And it was like, it wasn't catching because I went back and I looked and I said, well, what were some of my most successful ads that brought us actual good staff, team members, and lots of response? The ones that were in my own wording. Now, did they need to be highlighted a little bit better and positioned better? Yeah. Now, I have also done, to where I've said, hey, AI, clean this up for me or make this more compelling or give me an outline of this. What maybe a talk or an hour talk or something or a coaching session where, the AI gives you a summary. That's not a bad thing. That's great. How neat is that to be able to do a Zoom meeting with somebody and go, okay, what were the real key points we hit? You could sit there and listen to it 5 times and take notes, or you can run it through AI and it can map it out and you can go, okay, that was important. That's a little, that was BS. That's not important, but scratch it off. But if 80% of it saves you 8 hours worth of transcribing something or something on that order, if you can do where somebody would spend 8 hours or 6 hours transcribing something, you can pipe it through Rev or something and it's back to you in 5 minutes and you have your transcription. Beautiful. Use it as fuel for your success, fuel for your time saving. Okay, see, I told you I was getting back around. It's back to that fuel. What is fueling you? And if you go, you know what's fueling me is the negativity. It is the pain. It is the excuses. Let's make a commitment. You and I right here. Let's shake on it, high five on it, hug on it. My God, people, please start giving people hugs again. I really miss that. I was thinking that the other day. It used to be, so many people would give you a hug during the day. And I was like, oh, I love that. Sometimes it was almost a bit much. And now it's like everybody's a little fist bump or a little. Let's get back to a little bit more compassion. But on that note, if your fuel is excuses, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to change it? When? Now? Let's commit. You and I right now. Okay, I've got some commitments I got to do too. There's some things that, there's areas in my life I'm running on premium and there's areas where I'm running on E85 fuel. Okay, thank God my truck runs on diesel. That's, I think, one of the best fuels out there, especially with the new emissions. That thing's a strong workhorse, and it gets me there, and it's longevity. So pick your fuel. Pick your fuel for you. Are you a fast burn? Are you an economics person to be real economical? Or are you a long-term person? Are you in for the long haul? So commit when? Now. Let's get it in the chats. Even if you're on the replays, guys, don't be afraid to use the chats. I can certainly respond to you. I certainly will see them, and I certainly will respond to you because I want to see you do what? Succeed. You not succeeding doesn't help me succeed more. Doesn't make me feel good. In this world, sometimes there are people that, if you're succeeding, they look down on you or think you're crazy for living your dreams or something. If you succeed, I succeed because I'm out here doing this for who? You. Okay? I'm not doing it to hear myself talk. I know about this stuff. Yes, I got to jumpstart myself every so often. Speaking of which, at the end of the week, starting Thursday in the early afternoon when I finish the federal deal, doing a 100-hour fast. If anybody wants to join me, now I'm not saying you're ready for 100 hours. You might be at the beginning. You might do a 12-hour fast. But if you'd like to join me for the 100-hour fast, we'll do some live check-ins and stuff and just see what is possible. Guys, live with faith, energy, passion. Always live your dreams. Commit today. Be blessed. Be on top of the world. Ciao for now. I will see y'all in the next roundabout. And in the meantime, go get it. Make a decision. When? Today.
Ready to take it to the next level? Tune in to XLR8Life.com for our live shows, encore presentations, life-changing courses, and live coaching with Coach Lou himself. As Coach Lou always says, live with faith, energy, love, passion, and always live your dreams.